So Blood has finally gotten its official Windows port, with Linux on its way, by way of Night Dive Studios, and boy is it fun. Similar to GDX, it adds some modern polish and bug fixes, so widescreen support, toggle crouch, turn that off immediately, gamepad support, future mod support, no distortion when looking up or down, and much improved mouse support. And thank goodness for that last one, as I've actually swapped to mouse usage. There is no turnkey speed option, making my typical use of the keyboard fairly unusable. The 180-degree turnaround key is also much slower than in the original. While I plan to stick with the mouse now, at least while I play Fresh Supply, I hope to get around to adding those options in an update. Even if you would still use it, it seems silly to neglect what was included in the original release, sans bugs anyway. The game includes the original level sets and the 2 official expansions that came with 1 unit Whole Blood. They were given enough license to do the porting, but not add on to the IP, such as changing up the levels or making new models of the enemies. There are new sounds that were not present or hadn't been properly coded to play in the original game. I like how explosions are properly muffled and even sound somewhat dramatic underwater. A nice addition is the ability to make a custom difficulty, down to individual aggression and damage levels. Also, old sprites are now used properly, such as Guild Beasts getting electrocuted and gargoyles breaking out of their statue forms. I've yet to test if gargoyles will use their swimming animation instead of dying on contact like hellhounds do. Speaking of, there are now some achievements to grab with various referential titles. Most are the standard beat an episode on any difficulty or find a secret level, but there are also a few speedrun or special requirement achievements. My favorite is beating the first level of episode 3 with no innocents dying. Cheat codes will disable these, but it seems you can save scum all you like until you get the perfect run. While the AI has been stated to be a lot more aggressive and less dumb compared to the final release of Blood, I'm noticing flying enemies are staying in the air a lot more than what I'm used to. Sure, they could swoop in any time and backstab you while you're distracted, but this habit is mostly a nuisance and seems to fly in the face of having improved AI. I have noticed it occurs more in multiplayer than single player. They may be getting confused who to attack, unlike ground enemies. Old save files are not compatible with this version. I'm not that surprised, but oddly each save file is around 11 to 12 megabytes each. What are they storing in there? Also, if you attempt to even place an original save file in the folder and open the load game menu, it immediately crashes Fresh Supply. Fun glitch, at least in this version, if you die you can revive yourself using a doctor's bag. You need to press the shortcut key for it though, not the inventory use button. You can interact with objects and still be attacked by enemies. The catch is your weapons are permanently holstered and you can't fight back. Even the auto weapon switch when you find a new weapon doesn't activate now. However, if you can get to the level exit in one piece, you'll be fully revived. I almost hope to keep that in. Even better, this glitch makes you zoom around in water. Alright, now on to the meat. The main draw for me was its ease of multiplayer. You can do team battle, bloodbath, and my favorite, co-op. It's a lot of fun blasting cultists with teams of up to 8 players, even extra crispy armies of the damned don't stand a chance. Most servers play with friendly fire off, as it is by default, and weapon respawn on. It keeps the pace of the game going, as dying only sets you back at the level start with no weapons, but run back over the shredded ground and pick up where you left off. I opened this shortcut here to let us come back without going the long way. Even though friendly fire may be off, be careful around explosive walls and objects, they'll still kill allies. The challenge gets a little broken when even if you don't die, you can pick up the same ammo cache over and over and blaze entire paths of destruction by yourself before others catch up. Now that does bring me to mention a few issues with current co-op implementation in the game. Now fortunately there are no desyncing issues even with all the explosions knocking players and enemies around, though I've had a couple instances where I've thrown TNT and it just disappears, sometimes giving me the ammo back, sometimes not. Most of the time lag compensation seems good and you don't feel bogged down with a slightly laggy host. That said, I don't know how far the server list searches from you. In fact, the entire list is beyond bog standard, it only gives the username and literally nothing else. No ping, no mention of game type, though most seem to play co-op right now, which I like. No mention of what map they're on, how many players are playing on the server, and most of all, no private lobbies. Right now, all servers are public and that's it, with no kick option. There isn't much a player can do to screw around, as you probably want friendly fire off in any situation anyway, but still. However, any player can activate the exit symbol, so if you're wanting to learn the game and are playing through with a buddy for the first time, I would definitely recommend waiting until you can make your server private. This is one game where being good at it grants the option to troll others by bulldozing through the enemies. Don't even need to cheat, just move efficiently, take the shotgun and area effect weapons, and go to town. It's even worse if you know the dynamite jump routes. There are some other minor gripes with multiplayer. The objects that should give don't give any satisfying particle effect anymore. Audio is a bit scattered. You can often hear monsters and gunfire made by other players as if you were that player rather than only from your location. Caleb doesn't say if a door is locked or needs a key, like in single player, nor are there his voice lines, like when you examine certain objects. It doesn't ruin the gameplay itself, but it takes a little bit away from the experience. What does ruin the experience are the infrequent-ish fall damage, jump velocity bug, and crashes. If you like to bunny hop around, be careful. For some reason the game thinks you're falling way further than you are, or is adding another player's jump velocity to yours or something. But either way, gives you a generous dose of fall damage. At least doors cannot crush you anymore, even in single player. And the crashes, well, not much to say other than hopefully they iron out their causes soon. I have not been getting them in single player, just in multiplayer. Sometimes it feels like doors need to be activated multiple times just to register I'm opening it. And most of the time I'm certain there's not another player behind it trying to do the same. Again, only talking about multiplayer here, which should hopefully be tightened up in later patches. Beyond that, well, it's the final build engine game getting the official treatment it needed for decades, and putting it back onto people's radars. Will we see a Blood 3? Well, that has nothing to do with this particular video. I may put another video out on Fresh Supply if there's something glaring I missed or they do some bug fixes. For now, enjoy some old-fashioned gameplay montage!